What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Aeron from the Wrestle plug in 4K, I'm told, so I apologise if I look even more hideous and the definition is even stronger. My lord. I'm here to talk about last night's WWE NXT, my favourite 2 hours of the week, and I think I can safely say this was quite an unexpected episode of NXT. Big shake-ups in terms of the Dusty Classic, and of course the Women's Dusty Classic also kicked off on this show. Let's get right to it. We had some upsets. Now, ultimately, I don't really like running down shows from start to finish. I like to kind of talk about what really jumped out at me. The first thing that jumped out at me, of course, is the fact Imperium and The Way are both already out of the Dusty Classic at round one. Holy cow. Kushida and Leon Ruff dispatching The Way, further improving, obviously, this rivalry that's starting to blossom between Kushida and Johnny Gargano, which will inevitably lead to a North American Championship title opportunity, at least. And I'm very pleased for Kushida, to be honest, because I feel like he's looked really good. And this helps Leon Ruff along a little bit as well. He's already had his bit of afters, so to speak, his bit of business with Johnny Gargano. So this works really well on so many levels. I don't even think I enjoy it as much as I do. Maybe it's the curse of Austin Theory. I know he's not very popular with wrestling fans because of obviously allegations and things that have come out, and it seems to me that a lot of the people that were involved in those things seem to be jobbing out quite a bit, and I'm not sure if that's WWE's way of punishing them or if WWE just think, well, at least they're losing, but you still got them on TV, so it is what it is. But the one that really surprised me was the Lucha House Party beating Imperium. We're talking about two of the best, purest wrestlers you've got, former tag team champions. Now, Lucha House Party aren't scrubs, although they appear to be a lot of the time. They seem to be really pushing him, actually, as of late, which is really cool to see. But one thing that really did surprise me was how they dispatched the Imperium. Now, I love this match. It was so physical, such a great wrestling match. Some would argue probably the best wrestling match of the night. But something that really jumped out at me was the fact that Lucha House Party beat them quite cleanly. There was no nonsense. There was no shenanigans. Fabian Eichner is somebody I'm a huge fan of. This guy has got just untapped potential out the wazoo. Not necessarily the greatest charismatic guy, not a fantastic promo, but that's not Imperium style anyway. At the end of the match, Alexander Wolf comes out as well. That's very cool because it means we are now just one Volta, one very large Volta, it has to be said, short of all of Imperium being available for this NXT as well. And I know Volta is obviously the NXT UK champion, but if you can find a way to kind of split in between the two, once lockdown lifts, once the vaccinations start really kicking in with COVID-19, I think it would be super awesome if we could have all of Imperium on NXT. They're starting to use a lot of the great NXT UK talents. Of course, we've got Pete Dunne, we've got Danny Burch, Oni Lorcan, who I know have kind of been crossovers, and obviously we've got GYV as well, who have crossed over the pond to work at NXT, and we're realising that actually there's some really good talents in NXT UK, even though it's much maligned because of everything that went down with speaking out. There is a plethora of opportunities for really great talent. Of course, they've raided so many of the women. You think Toni Storm, Rhea Ripley, all women who have really made their name over there, or over here, should I say, and then, you know, gone over to the United States. So I must admit I was a little bit surprised. Imperium and The Way, that's a big upset. And it wasn't just the men where we saw upsets either. Women's Dusty Classic kicks off. I immediately think, yeah, Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez must be favourites. But then also, after the fact, you think, makes sense. Mercedes Martinez has made it, you know, there's no secret being made here that she's going after Io Shirai. That's going to be fucking incredible. Mercedes Martinez is one of the most underappreciated women's wrestlers / just wrestlers, period, in the world. And she's been doing this for nearly 20 years. She is fantastic at what she does. Kacy Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, I love them. They're so likeable, they're so cute, they're so bubbly, but also very credible, very athletic. Kacy Catanzaro may be small, but she is mighty. And she really stood out this match. Something I didn't mention last week, which I really wanted to mention actually, was their promo. They cut a promo last week talking about how, you know, we're coming to the Dusty Women's Classic to actually win this thing. We're not here just to kind of fill out the numbers, so to speak. And this week, they really backed that claim up. They looked fantastic against two high-quality, seasoned professionals. You know, Kaden Carter and Kacy Catanzaro, with all due respect, don't have nearly the amount of credibility or longevity in this business that the other two ladies do. Of course, that's, you know, there's no shame in that, obviously, with Mercedes Martinez alone covering almost 20 years. Io Shirai gets involved. But Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter picking up the shock win, and the announced team, who, by the way, are fantastic. I think this is the best announced team going right now. I think they absolutely piss all over the competitors one. People can say, you know, oh, JR, Tony Schiavone, absolutely, they've got the prestige on AEW. But these guys, it's just a full unit. Vic Joseph, Wade Barrett, who's amazing as the heel commentator, and Beth Phoenix, who kind of balances Wade Barrett out. I really, really love this. By the way, Beth Phoenix finally back in the house. Love the party poppers. I just think little things like that are adorable. Makes you feel a bit of warmth, a little bit of just a little bit of comfort, you know. It's nice. They feel personable and they feel realistic, and I always admire and appreciate that. But like I say, they sold this moment on Casey Catanzaro with that insane maneuver at the end of the match. I know she's dating Ricochet, but she's just completely won up the poor sod with that. Now, I saw a lot of fucking dumb smarks on the internet. Oh yeah, well she didn't land it properly. Oh, she fell over on her back. She literally did like a fucking triple corkscrew, almost double inverted moonsault thing. Like, I can't even explain what it was. You fat bastards couldn't even get off your fucking couch. Wind it in, yeah? Like, come on, just admire the athleticism. And I love these two as a pair, love their little promo backstage. They feel legit, they feel credible. Who's to say they can't win this? And I think, actually, when you think about it, when you're looking at the Dusty Women's Classic, which, with all due respect, doesn't have a great deal of legitimate tag teams, these two are a legitimate tag team. They feel like one. They've got the same gear. They wrestle in a very unified style. And obviously, we also further Io Shirai versus Mercedes Martinez, and that ain't a problem for nobody. I'll tell you what I really loved on this show. I don't get a chance to man crush about him enough. I think Santos Escobar is huge, and I think he's got to be huge business as well. He feels like the evolution of Andrade, and all these other Latin American wrestlers that have come before, these Mexican wrestlers, the hybrids, everything that comes through it, the tradition of Lucha Libre. I love the gimmick of Legado del Fantasma. It feels very cartel-esque almost, you know. These are free men who are going to take care of business, and they do it in style. And Santos Escobar's promo when he came out and basically said all the other champions are a joke. They can't handle the burden that is the chip on the shoulder of the title, but I can. You know, talking about so many different facets of how to be a champion, how to carry yourself. Lucha House Party, of course, will be taking on his, shall we say, heavies in the next round, obviously, of the Dusty Classic as well, which I'm very excited to see. Now, a lot of it's been running concurrent on 205 Live. Don't know if you guys are interested in me covering 205 Live. I am quite happy to, if needs be. Probably only be a quick 5-minute burst, but if you want me to chat about it, let me know in the comments below. Obviously, big schmoz entails. Then Kurt Stallion comes down. Haven't seen much of Kurt Stallion. I'm aware that he exists. I'm not a huge fan of his look. He just looks like another indie wrestler. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you've got to stand out here, especially in NXT. You know, if he turned up in AEW, people would just give him the run of the green anyway, because ultimately the fans over there are a lot more forgiving and also, frankly, a little bit more all-inclusive. So even if you do look like shit or you don't look like a star, they don't care. They treat you like one anyway. But, you know, he just looked like another guy. I have no doubt that he can work. I have no doubt that he looks fantastic. But, you know, he gets involved. And I like the fact that, obviously, backstage, Santos Escobar was like, you have my attention now. Now I'm going to show you why you have made a huge mistake. And it's quite cool to see, you know, the 6-man kind of collusion there, and also how incredible this match will be, because there's such a clash and interpretation of what Lucha Libre wrestling should be. I personally love AAA or what CMLL. For me, I really, really love Latin heritage within wrestling, and I'm also one of these people who understands that Lucha Libre is not just about flipping around, albeit it is quite an important facet to a lot of Lucha Libre, but also there's a lot of incredible ground-based technicalities. We see that with Angelico, somebody who's trained extensively in AAA and obviously in Mexico, and really adapted that style coming over here, working for the Hybrid too. You'll see that on AEW. Watch his stuff. A lot of that's actually very Lucha Libre based. And on the NXT side of things, of course, you've got two very different, but both very honest representations of Lucha Libre Wrestling. I'm really excited to see what Lucha House Party versus Legado del Fantasma is going to produce. I think that's going to be an absolute stonker of a match. And also, I'm willing to give Curtis Stallion the opportunity to prove himself. I honestly thought it was Ben Carter for a moment when he came out. Those guys look a little bit disposable. They look kind of like two guys who, you know, let's be honest. Has anyone ever seen Curtis Stallion and Ben Carter in the same room together? But yeah, ultimately, really excited about that. Good stuff. Now, the main event, of course. That's really what we all want to talk about, isn't it? The fight pit. Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. I can guarantee you that this kind of match, this kind of structure, because we've only seen one before, of course, and that was Timothy Thatcher against Matt Riddle, and Timothy Thatcher was, he prevailed in that match. I guarantee this structure wouldn't work on the main roster as much. It probably wouldn't work on AEW Dynamite. It probably wouldn't work anywhere else. But in this small, enclosed, darkly lit atmosphere, I like it. Now, it's not without fault. I don't like the start of it. I wanted this to be very UFC-esque. And I'm sure that Thatcher and Riddle, of course, would have participated in this as well. But, you know, spending so much time up top where you can't really do sod all other than brawl, get rid of it. For me, put a really rock solid. Now, I like the idea because obviously once you're in the pit, you can't get out unless you're helped out. I get that. I get the premise. I obviously understand it. I just don't like all the schmoz stuff up top. But as soon as they got into the pit, it just felt legit. This felt very much like the... I don't know if anyone remembers it. It's a throwback to the Lions pit. I believe it was Dan Severn versus Owen Hart. They also attacked each other, I believe, in the dungeon of the Hart family house. The famous Hart dungeon, of course. I like the look of this. You know, it's kind of like a really good barrier, a really good perimeter between what UFC offers and what WWE offers. You know, taking a sports entertainment twist on the Ultimate Fighting Championship in a way. And of course, to be able to do that, you need legitimate fighters. First match, you had a legitimate UFC fighter, a guy who was actually on an undefeated streak before he was let go by the UFC, and Matt Riddle. Timothy Thatcher, whether you like it or not, is legit and technically one of the most supreme and sound wrestlers going today. Follow up to the second match, Tommaso Ciampa has proven himself to be quite the vicious individual. He's got that streak that we all like to see in our kind of... Do you know what? Tommaso Ciampa, actually, for me, this is going to probably cause a bit of division. I think he's the closest thing that WWE has ever had to Stone Cold since Stone Cold retired back in 2003. I really believe that he has the potential, the look, the attitude, the way he delivers his promos, the way he feels real. What made Stone Cold so special, amongst all the other incredible booking and shenanigans, was the fact that every time he said something, you thought, yeah, he legitimately will give you a middle finger, chug down a beer and kick your fucking ass. And that's something that I really feel that Tommaso Ciampa brings to the table. He feels legit. He feels real. The use of the referee to give that DDT to Thatcher was fantastic. But ultimately, it's Thatcher that comes out on top. And I think that is crucial. Because Ciampa, for me, wherever he goes, fits in and fits in well. But Timothy Thatcher... it's very strange. Outside of the fight pit, he's had such an up and down time with it. He's had these kind of training vignettes, which have been very hit and miss. He's not really had any prominent wins. He's actually lost quite a few matches, particularly when it comes to just in the ring. And I actually like this, because all of a sudden now, you've got this gimmick match that only he really understands and has the credibility to. And by the way, the gnarly finisher to this, when he has Tommaso Ciampa trapped in the corner, you know, kind of gives him like the stretch muffler, the Brock lock that some people might know, when he's kind of stuck on the side of the cage. That was gnarly. Real gnarly, but really cool to see. But this is good because Thatcher needs that win. And for me, Thatcher needs to be built slowly. He does need a bigger push. This is obviously the best way you can do that. He was in the main event. He knocked off Tommaso Ciampa, a former champion, and also some people might say the heart and soul, the heartbeat, the black heart of NXT. So this is a really important high-profile win. Be interesting to see what they do at the next takeover and what they're going to build Thatcher to do. You've got to think eventually he's going to have himself an opportunity at some gold. Him versus Finn Balor could be quite spectacular. Now, the reason I've left this till last is because for me, this was the highlight of the show. There's a few odds and ends. Bronson Reed obviously wrestled, which was great to see. I love Bronson Reed. It was great to see Malcolm Bivens as well, who I know is Stokely Hathaway. He is So entertaining. His little cameo in Dakota Kai's Busset Challenge video is hilarious. This was just a promo, but it meant so much to me. I'm becoming a huge fan of Finn Balor. There you go. I've said it. For 4 years now, I've been out in front on this podcast, said I find him a bit boring. I think he's a bit overrated. I don't think he's ever got close to the heights of what he was doing in New Japan. Now, it feels like he's getting there. His promo work is really starting to become quite crisp. He starts to feel believable. And it's because it's less is more. He's not trying to do too much bullshit sports entertainment. He's now all of a sudden just this dark, evil, prince-like assassin. And when he went backstage to Undisputed Era looking for a tag partner, because Regal says to him, keep your enemies close. And I thought, because Killer Cross is also gunning for him. Killer Cross dispatched this poor motherfucker and his friend earlier in the night as well. By the way, Killer Cross's entrance, mwah, that is a masterpiece. What a spectacle. Fallen Brain, obviously, having Scarlet Bordeaux at ringside. That ain't much of a problem either. But this little promo, this had so much fire and energy, and I still remember it now, almost 24 hours removed. Undisputed Era backstage, he goes looking for Kyle O'Reilly for a tag partner to take on Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. The idea is, I'm going to cut off the arms before I cut off the head, because Pete Dunne is also gunning for Finn Balor. Pete Dunne, again, great vignette. Their vignettes are just so fantastic. Nobody touches NXT when it comes to vignettes and promos. I just don't think that anybody gets close. I really don't. Possibly NWA when they're running, but ultimately we haven't seen much of NWA lately. That's a shame as well. Finn Balor goes into Undisputed Era's locker room. Look what the cat dragged in. Brilliant reference, because how many times has Finn Balor said, you know, the cat is back to play amongst the pigeons, play amongst the mice, whatever you want to use in that analogy. He's been making a lot of feline references, and that was a great little reference. And then there's this stunning amount of tension. I love that Roderick Strong's like, you don't talk to, and he's just like, whoa, easy, Roddy, easy. I love that, because it's like, we don't like you, but we kind of respect you. And all the while, nobody blinks. There's this feeling of incredible tension. Kyle O'Reilly just stares back at Finn Balor, staring a hole for each other, and he says, are you in? Can you help me? So to speak. And after a while, after this incredible tension, Kyle just goes, yeah, I'm in. And of course, next week, we're going to get Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor versus the NXT Tag Team Champions. That's going to be so cool. I cannot wait for that. They're building this rivalry between Finn Balor and Pete Dunne beautifully. Pete Dunne has been on this kind of crusade saying, do you know what? It pisses me off that everybody says you're the guy, that you own this division, that you built this thing. Ultimately, you're on my trajectory. You're going to be a part of my legacy, not the other way round. And obviously, it's Pete Dunne. Come on. For me, one of the best wrestlers in the world. And of course, I'm going to have a little bit of home pride being British, seeing my boy Pete Dunne. And of course, Danny Burch as well, Wade Barrett on commentary, loving this little subtle British invasion that's going on in NXT. Once again, this NXT proved me. I'm sure Dynamite will beat it in the ratings. Whatever, it is what it is at this point. But for me, this show, whether Dynamite is good or not, this show always delivers, okay? And for those of you out there who want to compare it, I think both shows can be bloody excellent, but for me, WWE NXT is so much more consistent in the way it delivers its programming, the way it enthralls me personally as a wrestling fan. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think about NXT, the shocks in the tag team division. What are you thinking about the first ever NXT Women's Dusty Classic as well? Are you happy with the brackets? Do you think they should have put more effort in to really infuse and install some genuine tag teams? Right now, it doesn't feel like Peyton Royce and Billie Kay are doing much. Shame, really. They could have actually helped add a bit of gravitas to this. It would have been quite nice, maybe, to bring Sasha Banks and the Boss down as well. I am excited, of course, about Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. My bays, they will be obviously competing next week, and I'm very excited to see how they get on as well. But yeah, like I say, guys, would love to know what you guys think. From myself, Aeron, thank you very much for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget, once we hit 200 subscribers, we're giving away either a free t-shirt or a free piece of art. take your pick, I guess. And we're going to be doing that for every 100 subscribers we can get up until the end of February. So if you guys want the opportunity to get a nice little bit of free merch or even a free piece of art, ultimately all you got to do is just let your mates know, tag some friends, say, hey, check out these guys, you know, check out Aeron on the Wrestle Plug podcast. We don't claim to be the best wrestling podcast out there, but I believe that we give you the most honest content out there today. From myself, Aeron, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Plug.